Alrighty, I'm back home. So after the 4th of July weekend where I did the Texas road trip going to Dallas, Austin, and then eventually going to Houston to watch the Gold Cup final, I'm back home doing the review and finish up the review of these 4th of July weekends. Actually, we only got four more games to talk about because unfortunately one of the game, and this has to be the game that I was planning to attend between Austin and LAFC got postponed. And as I said in my previous review video, rightfully so. I mean, I definitely sent my condolences toward the people in Central Texas. They're probably still dealing with the flooding that is going on right now, but that also means that I wasn't able to attend that game. And now I kind of have a bit of a dilemma in terms of deciding should I maybe sell the tickets and do a giveaway, or maybe on my way back, I was thinking maybe, just maybe, I might do something crazy and basically wait until when exactly this game is going to be postponed. If it's going to be postponed on a weekend, there could be a case where I could head back to Austin and basically go to that one because I really do want to go to Q2 Stadium. I was very bummed not to go to Q2 Stadium for the first time ever. But again, because of certain circumstances, it was the right call for them to postpone the game. But like I said, today we are going to finish up the review looking at the last four game, which includes the Sunday game, and then we'll also do the preview of the two midweek games. Yes, there are going to be two midweek games. Both of those games are kind of makeup games, that is, because not only we have U.S. Open Cup action, we have some midweek action as well. And I'm doing it right now because I am going to be going to the U.S. Open Cup quarterfinal game tomorrow between the Quakes and Austin FC. So I will actually be watching Austin play for once, but unfortunately it's not at Q2 Stadium, but instead at PayPal Park. But let us begin with the first game. And speaking of the San Jose Earthquakes, they play against the New York Red Bulls while I was away. And the good news about the Quakes is that they've still only lost twice ever since May. The bad news is that they're drawing a lot of games lately and dropping a lot of points at home. And coming in to this game, I know the Red Bulls have had the Quakes number over the years, but you just kind of had a sense with the fact that the Red Bulls haven't really had a good road record, and the Quakes have a pretty fair good amount of wins at home this season. That maybe the Quakes would be able to get one over the Red Bulls for once, and it was not meant to be. Now, in the first half, LaRue would miss it wide from close as the Quakes were on the front foot. They were pushing for the opener straight away. Danielle would deny Frostberg from close before Ailey would head it over from close range. But then the 19th minute, Emo Frostberg would score. He scored from Stroud and Duncan to make it 1-0 in favor of the Red Bulls. Yeah, it was not great defending whatsoever from the Quakes. Like, you cannot leave Email Frostberg with that much space to shoot there. He is the most dangerous player, not only in the creative department, but he can also score the goals as well. And yeah, just like that, the Red Bulls were leading 1-0. Martinez did look to respond, but he heads this one wide before Frostberg had a shot that was deflected and goes wide. The Quakes defense was very shaky at best, and that's been kind of the thing this season where it feels like this team needs to score at least two or three goals in order to maybe get a win because I don't trust this defense whatsoever. But the shots were 4-2 for the Red Bulls 30 minutes in. Muni would then head it wide from close before Rodriguez flashed it wide from long range in the 40th minute. The Quakes are definitely started generating some chances, but none really trouble Cornell goal, and we do head to halftime with the Red Bulls leading 1-0. In the second half, Arango would put it just wide from long range before Vito Costco makes an absolute sitter from 10 yards out. When I saw that, I'm thinking, yep, it's going to be one of those days, isn't it, for the Quakes just cannot finish even if their life depends on it. They must have heard me wrote that, or at least they probably saw what I wrote because literally a couple of minutes after I wrote that, they would score the equalizer because that's how it works sometimes. And it actually wasn't a goal that was scored by their play. It was actually an own goal by Sofo there, but it was just one of those ones where it was a dangerous cross comes in, and unfortunately Sofo just puts it into his own net. But yeah, that ties the game up at one apiece. Momentum was definitely with the host, but that momentum quickly ended in the 64th minute when DeJuan Jones would get himself a second yellow card. It's been a long time since DeJuan Jones have got sent off. In fact, I don't remember the last time he got sent off in a game. It is very rare that he gets sent off, and here it was just kind of a needless challenge to get a second yellow card as well, and really just kind of kill the momentum that the Quakes would have had for the remaining of the second half. Choupo-Moting would then puts it right to Danielle before Edelman had a shot that took a deflection and goes out for a corner. The Quakes, I feel like they're just going to have to suffer these last 17 minutes. And again, it's not often the Quakes find themselves down to 10 men. They usually don't get red cards in these games. And now the Red Bulls were pressing hard to try to get the lead. They got it in the 83rd minute when Sean Nealis puts it into the back of the net. The problem was the flag did not agree with him. The goal was disallowed for offside. It wasn't because of Nealis. It was because I think it was Choupo-Moting, the one that he was trying to jump to get to it. And again, it doesn't matter if you don't touch the ball. If you intended to try to head it in and you're in an offside position, you're going to be judged as offside. So rightfully so, that goal was chopped off. Rongo would then puts it wide from close in the 88th minute. Oh, by the way, I actually messed up by forgetting to put that Raheem Edwards got himself a second yellow card. So we were back to 10v10 soccer in this game, and late in this one, this is when really both of these teams were pushing hard to try to get a goal. I guess maybe now that only 10 players on both sides, maybe things are starting to open up a little bit. But in the 88th minute, Arango puts it wide from close. Oh, I already mentioned that already. But in the second minute of stoppage time, Choupo-Moting would hit it right to Daniel before Rodriguez would hit it wide from close. This game was definitely up for grabs. Like both of these teams were pushing hard to try to get the second and the winning goal, but it wasn't meant to be. As in the end, it ends in a level 1-1 draw. Back-to-back games that the Quakes have dropped points in back-to-back games is because of a 1-1 draw. Shots in this one, 15 shots for the 10 that the Red Bulls had, 4 shots on goal for the 3 that the Quakes had, 8 shots off target for the 2 that the Red Bulls had, 4 shots that was blocked for the 2 that the Quakes had, and possession-wise, 56% possession compared to 44% possession the Red Bulls has in this game. And I don't think either of these teams is going to be happy with this result. I mean, for the Red Bulls, they're not going to be happy the fact that, they had a man up for majority of the second half, weren't able to take advantage of it, and then, of course, find themselves getting sent off in the 87th minute as well. And then for the Quakes, again, these drop points at home. This is not an ideal situation for teams that want to make it to the playoffs. And the fact that they've only, despite the fact that they only lost twice ever since the beginning of May, they also have only won twice ever since that point as well. So they have drawn a lot of games. And how many times I've said draws are only going to be helpful when you're playing on the road, but when you're doing the same thing at home, and especially getting too many of it, it doesn't really help you in terms of where you're on the standings. In fact, you not only does not make up grounds more times or not when you draw in games, but you can lose grounds toward teams that is around you that might have got all 3 points and maybe pass you in the standings. And unfortunately, that's what the Quakes are doing right now. They're drawing way too many games right now. Now, moving on to the next match, in a game that I'm surprised it did not end in a draw. I mean, as I mentioned in the preview, it seems like whenever the Portland Timbers play against New England, it always ends in a draw. And there could be a case that this could have ended in a draw as well. It was a very evenly play out game, but in the end, the Timbers were just a little bit more stifle on the attacking end. Though in the first 15 minutes, if you missed the first 15 minutes of this game, you didn't miss much. There was nothing that happened in the first 15 minutes. In fact, it took us until the 17th minute when we saw the first shot of the game see Crepeau deny Miller from close. Ayala would then had the Timbers first shot, but he hits it right to Ivicic. But then in the 20th minute, the Timbers takes the lead. It's Ian Smith, his first MLS goal here. He scored from Moreno and Kelsey to make it 1-0 in favor of the Timbers. So he scored an own goal in the last game, and now he scored the last goal. I mean, does that count as him scoring 2 goals in the last 2 games, even though one was in his own net? I mean, that must be the first time I've ever seen in MLS history where you see a player have one game score an own goal, and then the next game he scores his first career MLS goal. That's such a unique kind of stats, but also just a goal that was just an absolute banger as well. I mean, he absolutely rifled this one on the volley from close range, and yeah, just like that, the Timbers were up 1-0. Langoni did look to answer, but he missed one in the 26th minute before Bai would head it wide from close just 2 minutes later. I thought it was a good response for the Revs as they now look to try to get the equalizer. Campana tried to do so, but he missed wide from long range. But then in the 35th minute, Langoni would get the equalizer. He scored from Carlos Gio to tie the game up at 1 apiece and kind of giving the Timbers a little taste of their own medicine. We know the Timbers, their bread and butter is the counterattack, but you could say that kind of at times is the same for the Revs as well. They did a very good job there on the transition, completely caught out this Timbers defense, and just like that, the game was tied up at 1 apiece. Campana did look for the lead, but he puts it over from long range. The momentum was definitely with New England as they were pressing to try to get the lead, but we do head to halftime with the score tied up at 1 apiece. In the second half, Kelsey would puts it wide from close before Campana puts it over from long range. He then hits one right to Crepeau in the 57th minute before Guerrero would hit it wide from close in the 63rd minute as both of these teams was exchanging some chances. But then in the 72nd minute, the Timbers would retake the lead. It's Da Costa. He scored from Chara to make it 2-1 in favor of the Timbers. And originally, I thought maybe Ivicic probably should have done a little better because, Da Costa, he hits that one hopper. It wasn't really hit with that much pace. But then I saw the deflection. And I think that deflection probably is what throw off Ivicic there. But nevertheless, the Timbers wouldn't care. They were up 2-1 in this one. And then Moreno tried to do something similar to what Da Costa did. Actually, that one hopper was on a curler as well. And here, Santi Marino tried to do the same thing, but this time Ivicic read it and he denies him there. The Timbers definitely has the momentum as they were looking to put this game away. Fafana would then flash wide on the volley before Keo missed wide from long range in the 83rd minute. Then Ivicic denied Marino, but it falls right back to Da Costa, who could not put it on target there. That was a big missed chance there for the Portland Timbers and certainly for Da Costa. Yusuf would then heads it wide from close range. It just feels like this game is on a knife edge. I mean, both of these teams were pressing hard to try to get that next crucial goal. Ruti tried to do so and try to tie it late, but he puts it wide from close. But in the end, it's the Timbers. They hold on to win 2-1 in this one. Shots in this one, 14 shots for the 13 that New England has. 3 shots on goal for the 5 that the Timbers had. 5 shots off target for the 9 that New England has. 1 shot that was blocked for the 4 that the Timbers had. And possession-wise, 51% possession compared to 49% possession the Timbers has in this game. And like I said, it was a very evenly match up. I think New England will definitely feel hard done that they didn't get anything out of this game, even though I thought they played relatively well in this one. But at the same time, the Timbers would take it. I mean, there's been times this season that they have trouble in terms of closing out games, especially at home. A tale as old as you can see, but this time they're able to close it out. And for New England, yeah, the wheels have definitely started to fall off once again for Caleb Porter's side. All that goodwill that they did back in May and early June has pretty much been undone in these last couple of games. They're back on this winless run, and back on a spell where now they're dropping down the Eastern Conference fast again. Now, moving on into the last game of the Saturday action, and what a wild game this was between San Diego and Houston Dynamo. I mean, this game pretty much had MLS After Dark energy, and this was the game that I even said when I did the first part of the review from a hotel in Austin that I want to thank both of these teams decided to not only put an entertaining game, but also decided to have 17 minutes of stoppage time. So that means that I had to do that review relatively late because remember, since I'm in Austin, it is Central Time, so by the time this game ended, it was already close to midnight in Austin when I did it. But nevertheless, I mean, despite the crazy game that we saw in this one, I think this is a result that no one saw coming. I mean, the Houston Dynamo has really struggled in these last couple of games, and that nobody gave them a chance. Again, one of the hottest, if not the hottest team right now in the Western Conference, that is San Diego FC. But Houston went toe to toe with them, and in the end, they get the win as well because they just kind of persevere in this one. Something that we have not seen the Houston Dynamo done at all this season in terms of the fight back that they've shown, and something that we also have not seen San Diego done a lot this season, which is losing a game from a winning position. They were coming into this game perfect so far this season of never losing a game from a winning position. That came to an end after this game. Now, in the first half, Ponce would put it wide from close before Eloski missed wide from close in the 8th minute. Maiton would then hits it right to Bon, as I thought San Diego, as expected, had more of the possession, and they were the better team early in this one. Dos Santos then denied Ponce from close, but then the 25th minute, guess who? Milan Ilaski. He cannot stop scoring goal. Now, he scored again here from Valicari to make it 1-0 in favor of San Diego. That now put him double digit in terms of goal scored, and he is definitely going for the golden boot. Who saw this coming with the way that he would be in the golden boot conversation? I mean, he wasn't even considered to be a starter in the beginning of the season. That being said, he then looked for another in the 28th minute, but he was denied by Bon, as San Diego was definitely feeling it early. They were trying to press for another goal, but then the 37th minute, the Dynamo equalized. It's Lawrence Anali, his first start since coming back from the ACL, and it feels like he definitely didn't skip a beat because he absolutely blasts through that San Diego defense from a simple long ball from Bossy, and just like that, the game was tied up at one apiece. And again, it's just a blind clearance there from Bossy I mean, I don't think Bossy was meant to set that long ball to Anali there, but Anali just basically showed his wheel there. And again, if you wonder, is he 100% healthy coming back from that ACL injury? I think it's safe to say that he's 100% and then some. I mean, you usually do not see a guy that coming out of a torn ACL, and especially the first game coming back from a torn ACL, show that kind of speed as well. But yeah, that ties the game up at one apiece, and then right on the stroke of halftime. The Dynamo take the lead. It's Escobar. He scored from Bartlow to make it 2-1 in favor of Houston. And yeah, the 30,000 inside Snapdragon Stadium, they're absolutely stunned. I mean, this was a game that they were well in control in this one, and in the blink of an eye, they find themselves down 2-1 heading into the second half. Now, in the second half, there was a shout for a penalty for San Diego not given. Dreyer would then hit it right to Bond as San Diego was on the front foot again. They were pressing hard to try to tie it up, and they do. As in the 53rd minute, Bombino would score his first career MLS goal from Verskov to tie the game up at two apiece. And yeah, Bond, I think he probably should have done better in that. I mean, he did get a hand to that one. That is something that I think he knows at the end of the day that he probably should have done better. And goalkeeping problem has been an issue this season for the Houston Dynamo. It's been kind of a bit of a revolving door so far, and bringing Jonathan Bond, he has had a couple of good games, but at the same time, he has also had some very below par game, and this is one that, like I said, looking back, he's gonna say that he probably should have kept this one out. But he did deny Lozano from long range in the 60th minute, but again, the momentum was definitely with San Diego. They were pressing now, not only to get another goal, but trying to get the lead back, and they do. As in the 69th minute, Valakari would score from Dreyer to give San Diego the lead back in this one. Now, originally they gave this to Anders Dreyer because he took the strike there, but later it was changed to a Valakari goal because Valakari, as he was trying to jump over Bond there, it actually took a deflection off of him. Now, obviously, he was not offside. He was actually onside there. There was a Dynamo player playing him on, but I think that's the first time we ever seen a player that decided to jump over the goalkeeper and then it kind of took a deflection off his heel and it still goes in. And in many ways, Valakari pretty much stole that goal from Anders Dreyer. And, I'm pretty sure Anders Dreyer, I think if he saw that, he'll be a little bit annoyed that he doesn't get the credit of the goal. But knowing that he's kind of the assist maker, I don't think he'll be that mad at the fact that he got another assist in this one, even though it probably shouldn't have been an assist. It should have been a goal in favor of him if it wasn't for Valkyrie, who pretty much knew nothing about it. There was no way he would have thought that ball would have deflected off of him when he was trying to jump over Jonathan Bond. Now, after that incident, there was also an incident where it looks like Jonathan Bond got impeded there, and Ben Olsen and the Houston Dynamo were not happy about that. They feel like their goalkeeper after that sequence. It was one of the San Diego players that impeded the goalkeeper. But I think because the goal was already score and the ball was already they crossed the line and into the back net before Bond actually took a contact there. I think that was just way too far for them to say that. Yeah, that's clearly goalie interference. To kind of quote what you usually see in hockey as well. But yeah, the goal stands. San Diego has the lead back, but that lead looked like it was short lived because in the 73rd minute, Ponce looked like he tied the game up at 3 apiece. But they go to VAR to see whether or not if there was an offside on the development play. And there was. So the goal was chopped off, and you're thinking, well, Houston, that has to be a backbreaker. Just as they thought that they tied this game up, now it's back to 3-2. But there's just something about this game, the fact that not only we got a little MLS after dark, but Dynamo, they just never show quit in this one. Lozano would then put it into the supporter section. We might not be done with goals. Like I when I wrote that, I saw how that both defense pretty much decided to just step aside in this one. That I thought there was going to be more goals in this one, and this game really went to MLS after dark because in the 80th minute, guess what? A penalty was given to the Dynamo as Dos Santos actually brought down Ponce in the box. Now this was kind of a crazy sequence where Dos Santos actually took an elbow as Ponce was going down. So yeah, I mean, I don't think Ponce meant to do that, and it's kind of unfortunate that his elbow did caught Dos Santos there, but it caught Dos Santos in the head, and he was actually bleeding for a bit. They actually even show parts where he was kind of bleeding as he was receiving treatment, which I mean that's a little bit too graphical. I mean, I think Apple TV did their best immediately try to cut that one out because yeah, we don't need to see a player getting bleeding down. I mean, that's a little bit too graphic to see. But nevertheless, there was a long delay because of that, and eventually, Dos Santos did stay in this one. They actually did warm up Sesiaga, maybe thinking that he's gonna come into this game, but Dos Santos says he was good to go, and he actually kind of almost begged the medical staff to say that he's good to go. And kind of maybe a little annoyed the fact that he had to do one more run up. But again, this is because of the precautionary in terms of head injury, and as we'll talk about in this game and in the last game we're going to talk about in terms of this uh 4th of July weekend matchup. Yeah, there's a reason why MLS is taking head injury very seriously, and we saw a very unfortunate incident that happened in this game involving goalkeeper suffering from head injuries as well. But that being said, by the time when the penalty was being taken in the 88th minute, Ponce steps up to take the penalty and he buries it. And that actually is a great penalty too, because he had a long time to think about this while the treatment was being made. But yeah, that ties the game up at 3 apiece. We then would get 17 minutes of stoppage time, which I think that is probably the longest stoppage time that we have in quite some while. I remember one year we had like a game between the Red Bulls and the Quakes where there was like 21 minutes of stoppage time because there was a stop of play because of an alleged racism kind of event that happened. In fact, that was the Dante Van Zero racism game that we saw a couple of years ago. But yeah, this is probably right as much as a stoppage time we got in quite some while because yeah, there was like a long delay and also the VAR, so it kind of makes sense why we had 17 minutes of stoppage time. Bond would then deny Iloski on the volley. I thought Houston kind of started to sit back a little bit and try to hold on to the lead. Which I think they probably saw me write that and they took it personally because in the 10th minute stoppage time they take the lead again. It's Ponce. He scored from Bartlow to make it 4-3 in this one. So even Bartlow getting a couple of helpers in this one. He's not a guy that is known to get assists, but he definitely did so. And Ponce, of course, getting the brace as well. And this one probably could have had a hat trick if that goal did not disallow on the development play in the 73rd minute. But most importantly, the Dynamo were leading it again. And yeah, that was kind of a sequence where the San Diego back line just completely went asleep in this one, and it's not the first time we have seen this happen. The defense has been a problem for the San Diego team, at least in these last couple of games. They're actually been giving up a lot of goals in these last couple of games, and that has to be very alarming if you're Mikey Veras. The fact that they're giving up so many goals in these last couple of games. Yes, their attack has kind of bailed them out a bit, but yeah, they gave up 4 in this one. They gave up 2 against Dallas, and they gave up like 3 against Vancouver as well. That's a lot of goals that they giving up with the form that they've been in. But nevertheless, like I said, the Houston Dynamo they pulled off the upset in this one. They won 4-3 in this one, and well, they deserve to. They show a lot of perseverance in this one. The shots in this one, surprisingly, was very low. I swear there was more shots than this. There's no way that there was only 22 shots combined for both of these teams, but 14 shots compared to 8 that Houston has, 5 shots on goal for the 7 that San Diego has, 3 shots off target for the 2 that Houston had, 1 shot that was blocked for the 3 that San Diego has, and possession-wise, 55% possession compared to 45% possession the Houston Dynamo has in this game. And overall, like I said, for San Diego, they need to clean up their defensive mistake. That's been a little bit of an issue in these last couple of games. And while they're still in a relatively good form, they can't keep having these kind of games and expect to keep winning these kind of games, even if they have one of the best attack in the league. But for the Houston Dynamo, is this victory going to potentially kick off a bit of a run for them? Because this was really just a very emotional victory for them. A victory that, again, nobody would have given the chance to walk into San Diego and get all for 3 points, especially with them finding themselves down this one. They did it, and now let's see whether or not if this victory can get themselves a good run of form in these next couple of games. But now moving on into the last game on this board, as I spent a long time talking about this one because I mean that's what happened when there's like 107 minutes of action that happened in this one. But now moving on into the last game, which is the lone Sunday game, the Sunday night soccer game between Seattle and the Columbus Crew, and unfortunately. We're definitely going to talk about that scary incident that happened at the end of the game. That's pretty much the storyline out of this one. And it's a shame that we have to kind of mention that and also just that was the storyline of this game because I thought this kind of felt like a playoff game. I mean, this was a game that was very tight at time, very compacted. And this kind of also kind of had that energy of being kind of like an MLS Cup kind of matchup. And who knows, maybe both of these teams might meet in the MLS Cup again, just like they did in the COVID shortened season. But in the first half, Fiera with the game's first shot, but he missed wide as the Sounders were on the front foot. They were looking for the opening goal. Not much really happened, though, at least early on. The shots were 3-2 for Columbus, with no shots on goal for either of these teams. Columbus did start to get more of the possession, which, that's not a big surprise because this is a Wilfred Nancy side after all, and got into this game as well. Shaberko puts it high from long range, but then the 27th minute, Columbus takes the lead. It's Diego Rossi. He scored from Russell Rowe to make it 1-0 in favor of the Crew. It came off a lightning counter attack as well to give the Crew a 1-0 lead. And then he looked to try to score another in the 41st minute, but he hits it right to Fry. But then in the 42nd minute, Seattle gets the equalizer. It's Paul Frofrock. He scored from Kosi Rienzi to tie the game up at one apiece up to this point. So if you're Columbus, that's got to be disappointing because they play pretty well, at least for the majority part of the first half, but they gave up a late goal in this one, and we head to halftime tied up at one apiece between both of these teams. In the second half, Rothrock would then curls one into the stands before Rusnak would put it wide from long range in the 56th minute. I thought the Sounders started once again the better side early in this one. They were looking to try to get the lead for the first time today. Bush would then deny Rothrock as he was in on goal in the 52nd minute. Then there was a shout for a penalty for the Sounders not given, and I thought Seattle was starting to really ramp up the pressure. They were actually now the better team heading into the second half, and this is also where you started to see Columbus kind of getting pinned deep and cannot get the ball. That is very uncrew like and very unsee ball kind of like where the Crew are not getting the possession that they need to be because they're a team that is leading the league I think this season when it comes to possession, or at least close to doing that. I think San Diego may be leading that category because Mikey Vera's style plays a very similar style to what we see with Wilfred Nancy, and the same goes for Jasper Sorensen side as well. But yeah, it was very weird to see the Crew not getting the ball and just almost getting completely pinned back and being very uncomfortable. Zaswatsky then had a rare chance for the Crew in the second half, but he missed one in the 75th minute, and that chance actually sparked the Crew because I thought Columbus started to finally start getting more of the possession, but at the same time, I also kind of thought that this had draw written all over it because neither team really created a lot of chances. It was a very kind of sluggish kind of game, a game where chances was at a premium, and there was a really big battle in the midfield. Though that being said, in the second minute of stoppage time, Kosi Rienzi get himself a second yellow card, so that's kind of unfortunate for the Seattle Sounders, and not the first time we have seen this season they have a man sent off. This season the Sounders have had a lot of games where they went down to 10 men. Rodon would then miss wide from close in the 6 minute of stoppage time, but then we talk about the story of this game, and the good news coming out of this is that Stephen Fry did mention the fact that he is actually now back home and resting after that this incident because my word, this was a very scary incident. This incident really reminds me of the Walker Zimmerman incident earlier this season when Nashville took on Charlotte, where this was just kind of one of those sequences where the attacker and the goalkeeper are going for the same ball. Sadich was trying to get to us as well, but inadvertently he just kind of took his knee took basically hit Fry there, and basically Fry took a knee to Sadich head in other words, and yeah, Fry pretty much was almost not unconscious for a bit. He also went into a fencing motion as well, so yeah, when that happens, that has concussion written all over it, and basically for about a couple of minutes, I mean, it was a pin drop inside Lumen's field. I mean, the players, the coaches, the fans were in complete stunned silence. I even saw a couple of times that Brian Schmetzer was even holding back tears when he saw that, and I wouldn't be surprised if the players and fans are doing the same thing because Stephen Fry is such a legend, not only in this league but to the Sounders as well. He's one of the most favorite player for the Seattle Sounders side, and this has to be absolutely heartbreaking to see him suffer this injury. And again, it is very unfortunate that this, of course, happened. We saw it earlier this season with the Walker Zimmerman incident, very similar to this, but great to see the fact that Stephen Fry later on after this incident, he was released from the hospital after transferred it via an ambulance, and he says that he would okay and resting up. But it's also great to see that both Nancy and Schmetzer basically even had a discussion at the byline and basically almost kind of begged the referee to blow the full time whistle because this incident happened right near the end of the game. There was maybe like 20 or 30 seconds left. Columbus was ready to take another their corner as well, but it doesn't really matter because this is just a very serious incident, just a very scary incident as well that I can't imagine anybody could continue after this one. And fortunately, the ref made the right decision. He obliged to both head coaches demanding this game to and in full time. And despite the fact that Andrew Thomas, of course, was warming up, he didn't get a chance to play in this one. Though he probably will get a chance to play in these next couple of games because I can't imagine Stephen Fry is going to be back for a bit. I mean that looks like a very serious concussion. And it took a while before Walker Zimmerman got back from that serious head concussion. So I think it's probably going to be a similar timeline with Stephen Fry as well because the Sounders are not going to take any risks. The league obviously is not going to take want teams to take any risks in terms of these head injury and forcing players to come back relatively soon, especially of how serious that incident happened. But yeah, in the end, it ends in a 1-1 draw on this one, and the shots in this one, 9 shots for both of these teams. 2 shots on goal for the 3 that Columbus had, 4 shots off target for the 2 that Columbus had, 4 shots on blocked for the 2 that the Sounders had, and possession-wise, 54% possession compared to 46% possession that the Sounders has in this one. And after the game, Brian Schmetzer even mentioned he want to thank Wilfred Nancy for that, and he was also kind of holding back tears when he mentioned that in the press conference. And if there's any doubt that Wilfred Nancy is the people head coach in MLS before, I think this pretty much is a case closed that you just simply cannot hate Wilfred Nancy. Like he is not just a likable head coach in the Columbus fan base. He's a likable head coach in general, not just the style that he plays and the tactics they play that brings some beautiful soccer to watch that the Columbus group play every single week. But he's also a likable character both on and off the pitch as well and show incredible sportsmanship and that at the end of the day it's great to see that him and Schmetzer comes to an agreement. And Nancy even said after the game that football doesn't really matter after that incident. It's all about the health of Stephen Fry, and like I said, great to see the fact that Stephen Fry was okay after this game. But I can imagine that he might be back for a bit after that serious injury that we saw at the end of this game. But that being said, I am now going to switch boards and now look at the preview of the 2 games. And in fact, instead of saying that, let me just do it right now. Why not? Let's switch board right now and look at these 2 games that will happen in the middle of the week. And what's kind of interesting that 1/3 of the league is going to be having midweek games because we have U.S. Open Cup action. Don't forget there's also Canadian Championship action that Vancouver and Montreal is going to be involved. But we do have 2 MLS games that happen in the middle of the week. Again, these are makeup games because both Inter Miami and LAFC wasn't able to play on the weekend of of June 26 because of the way that they were still in the FIFA Club World Cup. So we start off with New England versus Inter Miami, and I decided to go a little old-fashioned when it comes to this preview. And by the way, I'm not quite sure you can really see the board very well. I didn't really write the the board very well for these preview, but yeah, the first game we got New England versus Inter Miami that will start at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Pacific, and it's good the fact that these games are happening on Wednesday because tomorrow since I'm going to be going to that U.S. Open Cup quarterfinal between Austin and the San Jose Earthquakes, that I still have a chance to of course watch these games and maybe even do a review right after these games is over. But yeah, coming into this game, Miami have a 5-0-3 advantage over New England, and the reason why I'm saying that this is kind of a little old-fashioned is because I'm once again kind of bringing the head-to-head stats point that I haven't really quite done so when it comes to these preview this season. But yeah, last time both of these teams played against each other, it was a historic moment for Inter Miami because they reached the points total record against New England, and they did it in style. 6-2 was the final score in that one. But before that, it was a 4-1 win that Miami has against New England. Then New England win 3-1 against Inter Miami, barring that was before Messi and his friend arrived from the scene. Then Miami win 2-1 against New England before the Revs did win 2-0 against Inter Miami. So yeah, there's no doubt that coming into this one, with the way that Miami has definitely feeling themselves. I mean, after that last game against Montreal, and especially how Messi was definitely feeling himself, it feels like this is probably gonna be a matchup that we know what's gonna happen. By the way, I expect probably a big crowd in this one as well. I mean, I know it's a midweek games, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people bought tickets to this game as well, even though it was rescheduled. I expect there should still be a big crowd in this one. Do not be surprised if Gillette Stadium might open up the whole stadium just for this game, similar to last year when they did open up the whole stadium and had a record-breaking crowd for a New England Revolution attendance when Miami played against the Rams. But most of them are probably gonna hope to see Messi score again and put on a show in this one because with the Revs, yeah, this is probably not the opponent you want to face when with the way that they're kind of now going backwards again when it comes to their recent form. Speaking of a team that has also kind of gone backwards in recent form, that's the Colorado Rapids. I mean, I talk about the inconsistency that they have this season. It's now kind of inconsistently bad. And the last thing they need to face is against LAFC, which is a team that they've already faced twice in the CONCACAF Champions Cup all the way back in the first round. And while they definitely put up a good fight in this one and really give LAFC all they can handle, they end up on the losing side. And not to mention, they're playing against LAFC on the road, a place where BMO Stadium is a house of horror for the Colorado Rapids. I don't think the Colorado Rapids have ever won against LAFC at BMO Stadium, and it hasn't even been close in terms of some of these recent meeting at BMO Stadium. But coming into this game, LAFC have a 7-5-5 record, whereas Colorado have a 7-5-4 record. And the good thing for LAFC is the fact that because they didn't play this weekend because of the postponement, they're not going to have to worry about playing on a short rest. Although the problem for LAFC is that they already have played very few amount of games compared to the rest of the league. They're gonna have a very difficult pack schedule at the end of the season, and they're gonna have stretch where I wouldn't be surprised they might have like 5 games in a stretch of 15 days, and it's gonna be interesting to see how Steve Trundle can manage that because on one point I know LAFC when you look at where they are in the standings they're not doing very well, but if they can win those game in hand they can rise them up in the standings. But the problem with those games in hand, again, it comes in a short amount of period, and because if it's coming at a short amount of period, they're gonna have to really navigate that kind of schedule and that pack kind of schedule that they're gonna be involving. Now the good news is that they're not gonna be involving in the Leeds Cup this season as well, and I believe they also already got eliminated from the U.S. Open Cup if I'm not mistaken. No, they actually weren't even in the U.S. Open Cup this year. I think actually are they in the Leeds Cup this year if I'm mistaken. If they are, oh boy, the schedule just getting even more tighter for this LAFC team. Anyway, back to this game. LAFC have a 9-1-6 record, and like I said, the last couple of meeting at BMO Stadium, it has not been close whatsoever. Besides the 1-0 LAFC win that they had against Colorado when it was the second leg of the CONCACAF Champions Cup first round in that competition earlier this season. In league play, LAFC won 4-0 against Colorado. Then they won 3-0 against Colorado. Then Colorado did win 3-2 against LAFC, but then in the other meeting at BMO Stadium, it was a 4-0 thrashing that LAFC had against the Rapids, and then it was a 0-0 draw between both of these teams. So yeah, with the way that Colorado not only has struggled to play against LAFC when they're playing on the road, but the fact that these last couple of meetings hasn't been close, and the fact that they're still playing a lot of games in a short amount of period. Well, I say that, but the Rapids does have an extra day to rest because they play on the 4th of July uh, day instead of most of these teams playing on Saturday, and even both Seattle and Columbus playing on Sunday. They do get that extra day of rest, but nothing compared to LAFC, who definitely has a long rest coming into this one and be very well rested and are hoping to get a win in this one to just get themselves in position in terms of once they do have those games in hand. If they can win those games in hand, then they can really rise up in the Western Conference standings. But there you have it. That is pretty much it for the preview and also the review of the last 4 games of the 4th of July weekend action. As always, let me know in the comments below what do you think of those 4 games, and also let me know in the comments below your prediction for both of these makeup midweek games that we're going to see alongside with these U.S. Open Cup and Canadian Championship game that happened in the middle of the week. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.